You're listening to Mr. Credit on San Diego 1700 with local credit expert Derek Evans. Now, live in studio, Mr. Credit.
Welcome to Mr. Credit and happy Friday. We are live and local here in San Diego, Sereno Valley to be exact. Welcome to the most important hour on radio in the land, telling you everything they don't want you to know about consumer credit scoring. The banks, the bureaus, and the government, they're all tied together one way or the other. And I'll help dissect this for you so you can understand what you should and shouldn't be doing with regard to your credit. You can visit MrCreditRadio.com if you want to email me or get access to my educational video library. Just click on the link there and you'll find it. You can also Facebook me. Just do a search for Mr. Credit. You will find me there. Last night the Padres lost 4-1 to the Dodgers, but we still have a one-game lead over L.A. after the loss. We are playing tonight, 7 p.m. In Seattle, but you can listen to all the Padres games right here on San Diego 1700, so save this station in your dial. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of stories that came out. One of them was that more people are missing their credit card payments. There's some tie-ins there. I'm going to loop back to what we talked about yesterday about the American banks making a whole bunch of money in the first quarter of this year. We're going to give you another story from Automated Injustice, another one that has a positive outcome, although it took a lot of time and there's a lot of heartache involved. And I'm also going to be giving you as many credit tips as I can along the way. It's going to be a Credit Tip Friday as we enjoy this beautiful day here in San Diego. But first, I just want to let you know I'm putting my time where my mouth is. I always do this as much as I can. You know, I speak for free. If you, at your company, you know anyone who runs a city council or whatever it may be, I'm available for speaking events. I do it as much as I can, and it doesn't cost anybody anything. So just give me a call or shoot me an email through MrCreditRadio.com, and I'm happy to set something like that up. 858-571-0271. Today, right after the show, I have to shoot over to Claremont High School. We're going to be doing a presentation for the juniors and seniors there. And I'm trying to get to people before they get to making the mistake. See, the way that the system is set up, you know, we could be taught credit scoring in grade school. I mean, 5th, 6th graders could start learning about how auto loans work, how credit works. You could easily start teaching them the basics at that point in time, but they don't. They don't teach it to kids in junior high. They don't teach it to you in high school at all. And there's not even any college courses about credit, about consumer credit. Yet it's so important. We all know that. But there's no education. And that's what you need, because the way that we learn right now is we learn by making mistakes. We go out there and we do things, we do what we think is right, and we hope for the best. And a lot of people end up going through significant hardships because of that, because they don't know. And it ends up having to change your life. Let me tell you something. The person who's walking around right now with a 550 credit score and the person who's walking around with a 750 lead different lives. They do. And it has to do with their credit. It starts there. Because remember, the lower your score is, the more money you're spending on everything. You're paying more money for everything. You buy the same house as the guy with 750, your payment's bigger. You buy the same car, your payment's bigger. You get the same insurance policy, your payment's bigger. You're paying more for everything when your credit score is lower. So this is really important stuff. Now, meeting with the juniors and seniors, I'm pretty much just going to go over the basics with them, but this is the type of thing I want to be involved with. So if you know someone who can help me get involved more with the community, hey, let me know. Give me a call, 858-571-0271. Okay, this first story we're going to look at here, coming out of New York, is actually some data that came from Experian. We're going to talk about Experian, too, today a little bit. But data through April, okay, of 2010, released today by Standard & Poor's Experian for the S&P Experian Consumer Credit Default Indice, which is a comprehensive measure, basically, of changes in consumer credit defaults. So it basically looks at where consumers are missing their payments, essentially. And it shows that the monthly default rates declined for first and second mortgages and auto loans during the first quarter of the year, but climbed for the third month in a row for bank cards, credit cards. Defaulting balances on credit card loans were 9.1% in April, which is up from 8.9% in March and 7.7% a year earlier. So what does this tell us? This tells us that people are electing to pay their car loan. They're electing to pay their mortgage if they can, and they're not paying their credit cards. People ask me this all the time. If I had to pay my mortgage or if I had to pay these 5 credit cards, which is better for my credit score? Well, for your credit score's sake, you know, a 30-day late on a mortgage, a 30-day late on an auto loan, a 30-day late on a credit card, they're all the same. They're all going to hurt your score the same. There's no extra weight that's given to a bigger, balance. So technically, it'd be better to pay the 5 credit cards than to pay your mortgage. But you live in your home. You don't live in your credit cards. So there's other things to consider as well. And that's why it's not just a straightforward answer on something like that. Now, the reason I bring this up today is because yesterday we had the story that said that, mortgage defaults were at all-time highs. 10% of people who have mortgage loans were in default in the first quarter. Yet here, the Experian results through the S&P are saying that people are actually choosing to pay their homes. Now, if you look at those two things combined, you say, wow, think about how bad it could be if they weren't. Because what's happening is folks out there are deciding, well, we can't pay these credit cards. And that's, if you had to ultimately make a long-term decision about what not to pay, the credit cards are the thing. Because remember, you can file Chapter 7 bankruptcy and wipe those credit cards out. I mean, if you're experiencing a hardship, if you can't make the payments, there is a very, very good chance that you can qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. In the Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you can wipe out all those debts. All of the unsecured debts, not just the credit cards, but the credit cards that have gone to collections. If you have a repo that went to collections, that can be wiped out. Medical bills, any unsecured loans. So if that's where you're at, if you're at the point where you're deciding what you should and shouldn't pay, I would say that the smartest thing you could possibly do, taking a 1 to 2 year outlook for your credit and for your financial life overall, the thing to do is to pay the mortgage and pay the car loans, because you need those. And look at filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy to wipe out the other unsecured debts. If your credit's already taking a hit because you're not making payments, you're losing more. Remember, a 90-day late on a credit card hurts your credit score as much as filing for bankruptcy. Now, that's not a knock on the 90-day late. That's an applause that's due for actually how little damage is done by the bankruptcy. But not only that, when you file the Chapter 7, it can remove the negative marks that are associated with those accounts, maybe that you've been missing payments on. So you might actually see your score go higher, and in most cases, that's what we see. This is the reason why I tell people they need to consider. They need to become educated. You've got to understand how Chapter 7 bankruptcy works, because it might be the best thing you've ever done for yourself. Now, if you want to get more information, the only person I recommend is William McDonald with the McDonald Legal Group. He's a great guy. He will help you understand your options. Give him a call right now, 858-437-0103. Set up a consultation. Sit down with him. Become educated about it. If you're buried in credit card debt, you've got to do this, because it might be the best thing you've ever done for yourself, not just for your finances, but for your family life too, and stress levels. 858-437-0103. Does this story surprise me? Not one bit. Of course not. All we see is all these headlines. Oh, profits are up. Everybody's making money. Everybody's happy. Wow, it's great. Yet the market's down 1,000 points in the last week. And do you see any stories about that? About the Dow taking a tumble? I bet you the market closed down lower today as well, because it's inflated. It doesn't make sense. The government's in there giving money away to these financial institutions. They're going and buying stock. They have to go in and buy the stock to boost the values of those stocks, which they hold in their portfolios, so that their overall finances look much better than they really are. They have to do it. I mean, that's exactly what happened. We read the story yesterday, but here's something from today from the FDIC. More banks are failing even as the industry recovers. What? What kind of sense does that make? This is from USA Today. The government says the number of troubled banks kept growing last quarter, even as the industry as a whole had its best quarter in 2 years. How? How is it that banks are failing if things are so good for people in the banking business? Things aren't good for the people in the banking business necessarily. The reason they're making money is because the government is giving it to them, which it's crazy when you look at it. Here's what happened. Banks got in trouble, said, oh, we can't make money. The government said, oh, really? Well, what if we give you money for free? If we give you some money for free, can you make some money? And they said, sure. Yeah, of course we can. How could we not? We're lending the money out for X percent. We're going to give credit cards to these people and have them pay 20, 25%. But the truth is, the money that the banks are borrowing is our money. So we're giving them our money so that they can lend it back to us at 20, 25%. And we're not getting any interest on the money we're lending them. So I think the way that you can best understand this is if we, instead of calling them the banks, we call them just a person's name. Let's say, what do you think, Brooke? Jack. Let's call the banks Jack. Jack C. Let's call him Jack C. So, okay, Jack A. So we we call the banks Jack A. I like that. And what happened was Jack A. He's a guy who had a business. His business was great. He was making money hand over fist for years. Then he all of a sudden started taking risks, doing stuff that was just stupid. I mean, stupid. And everyone knew it. There's no doubt about it. He was doing things he'd never done before. is going way out of his way